Guess you wonder where I've been.
We've been married. It'll be 11 years on March the 29th.
22 years. It'll be 23 this year in August.
Married for 60 years.
We've been married 31 years, going on 32 years this year.
Which is November the 13th. Been together for 16 years this year.
Yeah, it has been 16 years, but actually the exact date that I met my beautiful wife was July 25th, 1996, somewhere around 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. at the, you didn't know I remember that. It was at the top of the Transco Tower, which is now known as the Williams Trace Tower.
We've been married 14 years.
All right.
We were married December 31st, 1999.
We've been married 26 wonderful, blessed years.
We've been married 32, will be 33 April 18th.
At 7 p.m. That's right. You have to remember the time.
On June 25th, we will have been married 37 years.
11 years.
Yes.
Craig and I have been married 28 years.
We've been happily married for 21 years.
Married 50 years.
We were married, 1963 at Sacred Heart Cathedral. It was a beautiful day. I would like to think that the rest of the days have been beautiful.
We've been married 2 years, going on 3. Pretty good years too.
And we've been together 7.
The number one thing was that my wife is a God-fearing woman. And so I know that with Christ as the center of her life, that was the most attractive quality to me. In addition to her intelligence, her beauty, her compassion, the way that she did mind giving. We shared the same philosophy that to whom much is given, much is required. And so I knew that I had found my soulmate.
He just puts a huge smile on my face, and it's the same smile that I seem to remember when I first saw him. He has a very warm spirit, a familiarity about him. He and I often say that we are soulmates. We believe that we were together long before we met on this earth. He's one of the most authentic individuals that you'll ever meet in this world. And the ladies can appreciate this, but he's just very, very pleasant on the eyes. And he has a swagger like no other. But more than that, he is definitely the leader of our household. And when I saw him in public, what I really admired is that's the way he is in private. Just smooth, just steady, spiritually rooted, and as sweet as a man would like to be remembered as. Just a sweetheart.
What first drew me to Rodney was his passion for politics, and being a political operative all of my life, that was something that was important to me. And his service to the community, realizing that he was put here to help underserved communities to be the voice for the voiceless, and he's done that from day one.
I was attracted to Alicia first and foremost because she's smart, she's dynamic, she's obviously good looking, but also I had the sense that she could tolerate my rather demanding and sometimes overbearing personality that it wouldn't
scare me away?
Scare away or keep her from being herself. So I admire the fact that I thought she would tolerate me, and so far it's been a great ride. We're coming up on 17 years.
I think one of the qualities that I liked about Zeb was his diversity in the community, and how I can take him to an event and then we can also go to the beach and go to the mountains. And so I wanted to meet somebody who could be a part of my nonprofit world, because I did a lot of entertaining and a lot of different types of things in the community. He also didn't know my background 100%, coming from Los Angeles and growing up in the housing projects, and then also growing into New Orleans and then coming here, we were both able to expose each other to a lot of aspects of our upbringing. And he also had lived in California in the summertime. So we had a lot of things in common from the community, from our families, and our different friends and relationships we did. So I really like the diversity that he brought to the table, because he had no idea what he was getting into when he met me.
To find out what was one quality, it wasn't one. It was something just unique about us being together that caused a reaction. I mean, from people that we didn't expect. I guess when we took Alex to the Children's Museum for our first date, she was surprised that I would even go in that direction. She didn't know that I'd had kids and things of that sort, and she was really surprised when he took to me. And it was funny because we were doing a little exhibit that had to do with fishing, and I love to fish. And he took to it, you know, like a duck to water. So we played together, and from that standpoint, it just grew from one thing to another.
Well, first of all, she was a beautiful girl, and I liked that there. And not only was she beautiful on the outside, she was beautiful on the inside. You can tell when a person is a good person because everybody likes Zona. Everybody loves Zona and brags on Zona. She don't get into controversies and all of that. She don't crowd me. She let me do my thing. She don't get in my way when I don't want in my way. And she's in my way when I want her in my way. So we make a good couple. We understand each other. And we just been a good couple there. It's been good for us.
I'm always asked, how did you do it? One of the good qualities in Mr. Jefferson is that he is the most understanding and the sweetest person in the world. And we talk about things. He knows when I'm upset. He leaves me alone. And we've just been able to just know how to, I guess, to communicate, as he said earlier. And he's just one in a million.
Of course, look at it. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. You know, I know a lot of people, you know, talk about personality and things like that, but for guys, the first thing we see, the first thing we go by is what we see. So, of course, you know, she was just absolutely stunning. And from there, about maybe I positioned myself to get to know her, and I just enjoyed what I got to know. She was very fun-loving, very thoughtful, kind, generous, and she just had a good heart.
The qualities that I looked for, actually, before Leon and I met, I put down all of the qualities that I wanted in someone inside my Bible, and believe it or not, all but one, Leon matched, which was I wanted someone who liked pets, and Leon doesn't particularly like pets. But I wanted someone that loved God, that cared for his family, because I thought the way he treated his mom would definitely be a representation of how he would treat me. Very money oriented, career driven. If and when we did have kids, would love kids and would love me for me despite my shortcomings.
You're right. I would like to add one thing about the acceptance piece, though, and that goes back to the pet. I really don't like pets at all. But again, compromise and accepting each other for who the other person is, even the little things that you don't necessarily care for, that's important too. So, yeah.
I initially was drawn to my husband and his capacity to deal with very complex matters. I met him as an undergraduate student at the University of Houston, and he was a graduate student at Texas Southern. And the first evening that we met, we were introduced by a friend of his who knew a friend of mine. He had in his hand this very, very complex computer printout, and it laid out some work that he was doing for his thesis research. And I was intrigued by it and sat and explained it to me in such a way that I could understand it, not knowing that much about the subject matter. So that was my first attraction to him. But as we got to know each other, I liked the fact that he was full of surprises. I never knew exactly what was going to occur when we had a date, and sometimes I wouldn't even know where we were going, but he would always have a very exciting surprise that, once again, he was attentive and seemed to really have in his heart the capacity to truly and genuinely care for and about someone else.
From her standpoint of knowing where she was going, her goals in life, we had similar values. Although I must say at the time when we met, she was yet gung-ho into, quote, religion, church. And by that time, I had cut off myself from church. I had figured out that everyone in the church was a hypocrite. They would be out with me Saturday night, and they would be going to church Sunday morning, and I'd be going back to my bed. But anyway, as I said, and she told me, if you want to date me, you have to go to church. And so I tried to convince her why that was crazy. I gave her my spiel about persons in church. She said, well, you still have to go to church. So I said, weird. She's going to lose all of this by requiring that I go to church. But anyway, as you see now, we've been in church since we returned back here since 1974. And now we are, quote, on church staff. So I guess you can say she won.
It was strictly God. I tell you why. Because when I met this man, I was not interested in getting married, nor dealing with a man again in life, to tell you the truth. I had been divorced. And so when I met him, it was a weird situation. I was out, a friend introduced us kind of. She was all about his voice. And I said, girl, I don't care nothing about this man's voice. But she said, oh, he's perfect for you. Long story short, I said one word to him, and I said, I see the God in you, which I didn't mean to say, and I know that was God. And when I said that, we've been together ever since.
She said, I see the God in you. I said, you see what? She said, yeah, I don't know why I said it. I know where we are and everything, but I do. I see the God in you. I said, well, if you see that, then you got to be something like Eve, because in this place right now, I'm something like Adam. And could you step outside with me for just a minute, because I'd like to get a number where I can get in contact with you again. I can't talk to you now. I'm working, and I'm real serious about my work. I have a work ethic that's out of this world. But I'd like to contact you at another time when I can talk to you, and I promise my conversation will be totally above board. It was October 28, 2009, and I never wrote that number down.
What attracted me to my husband is that I met him at a singles event at Will Avenue Baptist Church, and he happened to be at the event, and he just looked friendly. He looked like he was a pleasant person and easy to get along with, and it all proved to be a fact. And so we just started talking, and I appreciate his calmness and his friendly demeanor, an easygoing person. And that's really what attracted me to him.
Same thing, we met at church at Will Avenue Baptist Church, and I don't know if it was the church first or the singles event first, but it was either way, whichever way, it went, one of those two. And, you know, still looking good, nice looking sister, was looking even just as good then. And she seemed to have good demeanor about herself. And I said to myself, well, this is the sister that go to the same church that I'm going to, and I'm sure she's got, you know, God in her life, and the things that she does are positive and resourceful things to do. And like I said, we just started talking to each other, and we saw each other one or two more times, or maybe another event or two. And then I guess to say that the rest of it is a blessing by God that we've been able to be together over these last 22 years plus 22 good years of marriage, and
it'll be 23 in a couple more months. This is February.
Well,
4 more months.
4 more months, yeah, July.
23 years.
And she's been a good person with a good heart, good demeanor, gone through the ups and downs with me and different issues of life that we've had to deal with, and been very studious for helping keep everything in order, man. Some, you know, when you meet I would say you meet a good sister out there, brothers, everybody taking a listen, and you can work with her, and y'all can talk, and y'all can laugh, and you can fuss and bark and do all the things. But at the end of the day, like the old folks say, you can go to bed not mad all the time, or not mad at all. I think that says a good thing that you got a good sister, and y'all can make a good couple to do a lot of good things that God has in store for you to do.
When we met, we were actually both working as news reporters for competing stations, and so I actually saw him as one of my competitors, and I definitely think that is one of the qualities that you know I admired in him. Just trying to keep up with me in my work, and he certainly strives to be the best at what he does, not only as a husband but also as a journalist, and I certainly admire that. And he's very family oriented, career driven, ambitious, and those are qualities that I possess, and again I certainly looked for in a mate. And he's very loving and kind and compassionate and generous. Whenever someone has a question about his career or just topics in general, he always volunteers his time and is always happy to give back to the community as well as be a role model for young children. So those are certainly qualities that I admire in my husband.
We were competitors, and I had seen her in the field several times and was kind of taken aback by her eyes. So that was the initial quality that appealed to me. But when I got to know her as an individual, I was afforded a window into her heart, and I could tell that she was a very decent person with good morals and someone who cared about others deeply. And those are the things that I value most in an individual and in a partner.
The quality that attracted me to her was when I met her. First of all, she was a very attractive young lady. And then on top of that, when we actually started dating, I saw a drive in her to me that said that she wanted to have something out of life. And when I felt like meeting her and seeing that drive, it gave me exactly what I knew that I wanted, because I looked at 20 years down the road knowing that with this person here, I could really have something in life. And at the halfway point, we've already experienced those things. So I think I made a good pick.
Okay, the things that attracted me to him was, of course, he was attractive, and I felt that he was very headstrong. So he was also a go-getter. So if he wanted it, he was going to get it.
Well, as a couple, I think our greatest accomplishment has been being able to work together extraordinarily well through our career fields. I'm an educator, and as an educator, I work with young people and older people as well in the community. And my husband is very supportive of me as we work to provide the education and training, identifying new programs for the residents of the community. And my husband is an attorney, and he focuses not only on personal injury, but also on juvenile justice, and he works extraordinarily closely with the community to ensure that the young people have the proper representation. And so that, I think, is a plus. Wouldn't you say?
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. My experience in practicing juvenile law has been a great experience for me, because at one time I wanted to become a teacher when I was a kid. And I feel that going back, being able to work in this area of law has definitely brought back some ideas that I had thought about when I was younger. So, and with my relationship with my wife, we're not only just married, husband and wife, we're best of friends. So I think that's a great asset.
That's certainly true, and I'd like to just simply add to that. There are 4 children, and then there are grandchildren as well in our lives. And so that's really a plus, where we have an opportunity not only to work with others, but to work with family members as well, the children and the grandchildren. That's a plus.
I would agree.
My greatest accomplishment in recent memory is an etiquette class that I have been conducting for about the last several years, and about 150 students have been able to go through that program over in the north side. One school is, of course, the Rock Page Elementary School. And to see the joy on those kids' faces, it's just amazing. It's about 6 weeks of a class, and at the end it culminates in taking them to have a fine dining experience. And so when my husband walks in and he joins me at the end, when he walks in and those kids at the Rod Page Elementary School, they say, "Oh, you are named after my school." That means a lot to me, and that's been one of my most rewarding experiences in recent memory.
That's interesting that I think I'm named after that school rather than the school named after me. But it's a fun experience, and I enjoy it because I enjoy the experience that the kids have, and also enjoy the work that she's doing with the kids.
I would say our greatest accomplishment for the community as well has been that the work, my husband totally supports all of the human trafficking, prostitution, rehabilitation work that I do. He has been right by my side. He's been very understanding. He has also joined in, and his job and the media has been very kind in covering the different types of work and the tragedy and travesty that human trafficking domestically and internationally has had on this world's population. And it could be anybody's child, it could be anybody's family member that can get caught up in a downward spiral. And because we stick together on working on these issues, it has also helped us to grow as a couple, and it has helped our family grow to understand that giving back to the community also gives back to ourselves, and we don't block our blessings by just thinking about ourselves all the time. We hand the torch over to each other and continue to give and give and give. And he's understanding with all those long hours too.
You do what you do because it's a calling, and you just go ahead and move forward. And the impact on a community, I think, is very, very broad, especially with what Catherine does. She's reaching out to a population that really had been forgotten. And now people are realizing that these two are people who have needs, who want to be loved, and who want to be a part of society, not the underside of society that many of them are now involved in. I think sometimes you can look ahead. When you look forward, you can think that the most important impact is probably yet to come.
I'd say the internship program that we both have had a hand in. Back years ago when I met Alicia, she's working for Congressman Mickey Leland. I was on city council. I had worked for him. She was working for him in his district office. And he had this internship program to send young people from Houston to work on Capitol Hill. So when he died, I started a similar program. And she and I were dating at the time when I went to the state senate. Started off with 5 kids. Last session, we had 67 students, about 600 that have gone through it. The fact that when I haven't been able to raise enough money, she's been willing to let me go into our personal and company coffers to keep it going. But I consider that in a lot of ways to be one of our greatest contributions.
I totally agree. I think when it's all said and done, our legacy will be the internship program and the hundreds of young people, many of them now in elected positions, in the corporate arena, in business, in nonprofits, and they are now doing the same by giving back. So I would agree with you. That is our biggest accomplishment for the community.
When couples stay together a long time, and when they overcome challenges in their marriage so that people can see, I think that that's a testament to what marriage is and what it should be. And it shouldn't be something that you jump into and jump out of for convenience. It needs to be something that you commit to. And like Rodney said, it's something that you commit to between yourself and God. So for the community to see a marriage that withstands trouble and big trouble, not just little things, because all marriages have problems, big and little. And so when you can get through that, that blesses the community. Couples stay together a little longer who are looking on. Folks who might have wanted to get married or might not have wanted to get married see something that's true and authentic, and they I think it's a blessing to the community, a marriage that lasts.
As a couple, our greatest accomplishment has been, we would have to say, our daughter. The reason why is this because a lot of times, as you know, in our world, in our generation, and has generations that have passed, race has been a tremendous issue in the community, in the world, in the nations, period, all across the earth. And to see two ethnicities of color come together and blend against all odds, against all complications and trials and tribulations, and to make it and to be objective, to be positive, and to keep pushing on and to produce a child of not only remarkable beauty, but intelligence and love is a symbol of hope to a lot of people and to the world.
As a couple, our greatest achievement has been the fact that we've been able to carry on a family legacy that has been in business now for 55 years. Our grandparents passed it down to us, and now we're able to pass it down to our own children. And the greatest impact that I believe we had on the community is the fact that we've been able to provide jobs to take care of not only themselves, but their families as well.
I would say as a couple, our greatest accomplishments have been when we kind of got together like after high school and kind of like in the beginning of our adulthood. So we were able to like attend school and kind of continue educating ourselves. So I became a registered nurse, and I have been dedicated to heart surgery through my career. So I believe in educating people about heart care. And then we kind of decided to take his career a little further and go into opening a funeral home.
I agree. That has been my greatest accomplishment, is being a entrepreneur in the funeral service industry. I formerly worked for a corporation, but it gave us the opportunity to really branch out and do something for ourselves. But the impact it has made on the community is being able to go into a community with not so much, I would say, a low-income community, and be able to service folks and be able to help people in those rough times of life, and not have that corporate structure over our head telling us what we can and cannot do, and we're able to really just help people and then provide a great service to them in that situation.
The greatest accomplishment that we've had as a couple has been our ability to give back to the community, our service to our fellow mankind. We have been able to be philanthropists in this sense, that we've given not only financially, but we've given of our physical work, we've given of our time, and we've given of our knowledge and wisdom that we gained over the years. And the impact that it's had on the community is that it's changed lives for the better. And we've helped turn organizations around by making sure that we were part of what they were doing, and that not only did we give financially, but we gave of our time to make the effort work. And that's been our greatest accomplishment of our giving and our time back to the community.
Our greatest accomplishment was when he had a sermon that he did regarding couples. and he let them know that we have never argued. And that impacted everywhere and everyone around us. Tell them the story.
Well, I believe that our greatest accomplishment is the fact that since October 28, 2009, the day we met, Rhonda and I have never had ever on any occasion for any reason, never had an argument. And what that does is allows other people to see the joy, the Jesus joy that we have, the love that we have for one another, and the fact that we're friends. Yeah, we're friends, but we happen to be married to each other, and that joy is infectious. It's contagious. Other people get it, and they're affected by it in a positive way, and we laugh all the time.
I would think our greatest accomplishment is our children. We have a 34-year-old daughter who has 2 children and a 30-year-old son. And together, they are the joy of our lives. And if we'd had our grandchildren first, we probably wouldn't have the children. But I think that having a family, wonderful family as we have, has been the greatest accomplishment. And with that, Ray has already mentioned that I'm an educator. I was a counselor, and I taught physical education for many years. He is also an educator, and I think the combination of being a parent to not only our children, but embracing the other students that we deal with every day to impact their lives, to make them better citizens and more productive, I think goes into making what we do all worthwhile in terms of giving to the community and making sure that we're having a positive impact on all of the lives that we touch, not only our children, but the children that we see on a daily basis.
Our greatest accomplishment as a family, I think, is having 3 adult children who are accomplished in their own right. They all have 2 degrees. They are making their own contributions to the community themselves. My greatest accomplishment, I believe, is providing services to families of children with disabilities. Before my retirement, I worked as the assistant superintendent for children with disability services in Houston ISD. And that accomplishment, I believe, is important because those children are not always, do not always receive all of the services that they need to have. And while I was working there, that was one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish.
And I think that also when we look at our 45 years together, that's an accomplishment unto itself. But in that 45 years, that we have been very instrumental in a number of boards, commissions, clubs throughout the greater Houston area and really throughout the state, where we've lent our financial as well as our personal resources to helping those community organizations and groups that better the quality of life for all in the community. And I especially think that with my wife's help, we were able to establish the guest group that we've been in business now 25 years, and a lot of that is focused on community redevelopment and community organization. So we feel that together we've done a number of things that have helped the quality of life for both the state as well as in our immediate community.
I think one of our greatest accomplishments when I was putting on the college preparatory conference with an organization that I was executive director with. And as an executive director for the organization, we came up with an idea to help families and communities to understand college. And we did it at George R. Brown thinking it would be 500 people. And the very first conference had over 1,100 people. And at that conference, I had to ask my husband to come help with the crowd organization and help with the kids. We had all the speakers lined up. We had everything in order with the organization, and it was a great accomplishment because through the years I've watched these kids graduate from high school and now graduate from college. Some are in medical school, some are in law school, but the actual issue is that we don't have enough information in one place for families to find out how to get money to go to college. And so that was one of our biggest accomplishments because we are now getting some of these students who are now in dental school or in dental hygienist school asking for jobs and asking for references. And we keep up with them on Facebook and LinkedIn and other organizations. So that's been one of our greatest accomplishments in the community here in Houston.
I was fortunate to not be in a commanding role. I could be in a supportive role. And Anna was running around making sure that she met with all of her department heads, and I was able to be a go-between between the crowd and those different people. I just really enjoyed seeing how many families came out with their children, fathers, single fathers, couples. It was really a wonderful opportunity for me to interact with so many different people throughout the city. It really showed Houston's diversity, and we as a couple got a chance to enjoy that.
I think they should always consider themselves on a date.
I think young couples should be making sure that they are comfortable with their partners. By comfortable, I mean and comfortable in a way that they can feel that they can share real intimate experiences with them. Trust them. Trust is a big issue.
My advice for younger couples would be to have more patience and more compromise for one another, because there'll be times that you have to put yourself on the back burner for the needs of your significant other, and there'll be times where your significant other has to do the same.
I recommend that they pray together, play together, and plan in every step of the way. I believe that they need to recognize that they're not perfect, but believe that they're perfect for each other. And when in their humanness they make mistakes, forgive and wake up and live to fight another day, but fight together with each other and for each other. That would be my advice.
Well, my wife pretty much summed it all up. I would just say communication is certainly the key. Making sure that you talk to each other and not at each other. Learning how to be great listeners. Learning how to respect one another. And setting goals. Making sure that your goals are aligned together and in sync together. Taking time to spend time together as a family. And also having time together as a couple individually away from the kids, so that you can continue to rekindle the romance.
Never go to bed angry and wake up angry. Resolve the conflicts and understand that sometimes you will agree to disagree. And be patient and understanding.
And always try and find a way to talk about whatever differences you have. If you're able to talk about them, you can work out a solution. If you don't talk about them, the emotions can fester. So if you're trying to make the best of what you have, talk. Make sure there's a lot of communication.
And don't cuss each other out and call each other foul names. That is always a very bad twist to put on any relationship.
Best advice that I would give young couples is to make sure that you are first true to thine own self, be genuine with yourself first, get yourself in order. Then you are able to care for someone else and therefore care for each other. And again, you have to be open-minded and not be selfish in a relationship, but be open-minded and be willing to work together for the common good of the relationship and to have a healthy relationship. I think that's important.
I think it would be important for them to realize that love grows. Mm-hmm. When a person gets married, they have this idea of love. Sometimes people are blinded by it. But love grows. It grows through pain. It grows through heartaches. It grows through ups and downs. But in the end, after you get to the end of the journey with that person, you will be more in love with them because it has always grown.
Well said.
They should pray to God because he's the one that keeps this whole universe together. And I think if you go through God and Jesus Christ, I think all your answers would be fulfilled. It's just the same way I met this young lady here. You know, it was like love at first sight, to be honest with you. But I knew that he was in control, so I asked him to give her to me. And certainly when God gives you something, you can't give your gift back. You'll be in trouble if you do that.
I agree. I would tell the young people to be kind to each other and that they should pray together, go to church together, and stay with their children. And if they make their lives a God-centered, family-centered life and being kind to each other, but they'll probably make it 50 years and beyond.
Be true to each other, love each other, and go out more.
Young couples, the biggest advice that I could give is to accept the person for who they are and do not try to change them. Because if you do, you're going to cause some problems in your marriage.
To number one, always communicate. Communication is so important in a relationship, especially a marriage. And trust and respect is the next thing I would definitely say that all young couples need to establish up front.
Make sure that they put God first, and then just rely on your spouse and not get information or advice from your family unless they are giving you godly advice.
The advice that I would probably give the young couples would be to really understand and respect the vows that they take, at marriage, and that's through thick and thin, till death do you part, and through the good and the bad. Because if anything is marriage, anything is going to last, you're going to have some ups, you're going to have some downs. And if you really understand and respect your vows, that will help you, to have a long and outstanding marriage.
That is because the marriage is a 3-ring cord. That ring represents 3 rings: the husband, the wife, and the father above. And when you trust in God and realize God is the only person that can really make you happy, you'll be happy. And then your marriage will be blessed.
One of the most important things that I think that I would say to young people is allow each other to be human and give each other some space and keep your closeness. Be careful of interlopers. Be very careful about who you let into your family and your circle. Love all of the family because you don't come individually, you come with a package usually. Yeah, come with the family. So it's really important to love the family too. Love those that come with the family. There's so much, but I'll give you a chance.
I would say it's not important to be right all the time. I mean, some arguments you just have to be willing to lose because it's just not that important. I mean, if the bleeding's not that bad, let it go. Have fun, have a drink, do whatever you need to do to make things a little bit lighter. But the other thing is, watch your finances. Most people get divorced these days not so much for infidelity and things of that nature, but it's because of financial challenges and strains. And so you just need to have someone in that relationship, and sometimes it's a wife, sometimes it's a husband, or both, to manage that.
I think that the advice I would give younger couples would be to really get to know each other before there's a final commitment. And that means that you know what a person likes, dislikes. You get to know the person's family. You get to know what their goals and ambitions are, because you want to make sure you both hit in the same directions and have some of the same likes, dislikes, same quality of life, family life, if you will. And that is so important in keeping a group together.
If you want to be loved, then you have to be loving in your actions toward another person or toward your spouse. And I think that's really, really important. I think that's one of the things that has made our marriage work for such a very long time. And that is, one, to keep God first, and then secondly, to treat your spouse as you want to be treated. One of the things that John does for me is to treat me like a queen, and I like that. And he also treats our children in the same fashion, and that's really positive. So he gets that same response from the children and from the individual.
I would say know what the commitment that you're getting into. It's we used to get caught up in the lovey-dovey and how I love you and want to be with you the rest of my life and have babies and all that stuff. But it's much more than that. It goes deeper. The commitment is not just to your spouse, to her family, to your future kids. It's also to God. That is the what marriage is based on. Your commitment to God. That's what it's about, because that's what's going to get you through the hard times. When it's good, it's easy. You loving, hugging up each other and all that stuff. But when times get difficult, when you have serious disagreements, and you think you have to get out, you have to remember the commitment to God, and that God wouldn't have put you in that situation if He wanted you to get out. So it's for life, and as long as you remember that and be true to your spouse, then everything will be okay.
I would say you can't take life seriously. It's good to grow together, not have everything at once. Don't forget to laugh and play. That's what keeps a marriage after everything is over. You never know what health might bring you or what bad luck might bring you. You have to have that laughter and that closeness and that connection.
I agree. I think you have to learn to be friends as well as mates. And the ability to laugh, because you're going to get angry. Often I don't agree with Sandra on things, but we find some way to get back to that funny part of life. And it kind of mends the relationship and brings you back together. So laugh a lot and love a lot, and you'll stay together a long time.
Well, for younger couples, I would advise that they find their priorities early in life, particularly if they're getting married to a sweetheart or someone. You need to know what's important, and you need to stay steadfast there, because life is going to throw a lot of curves at you, a lot of challenges, and you've got to keep the number one. For us, it was family and faith in the Lord. We kept that number one no matter what, so that kept us together. So my advice to couples is find your priorities and stick to them.
Really keep God first in everything that you do, and keep people out of your business. Like, focus on the two of you, and don't allow those outside influences to come in and jeopardize what you're trying to accomplish together.
My advice would be to keep God first and to make sure you stay in the seat of godly counseling. You want to make sure that when you do need people's advice, or if you need someone to talk to, that they also have the same religious belief you have, and that they can encourage you through God's teachings.
I believe that healthy couples, especially as they pertain to the African American community, can serve as a role model. And that is perhaps the most crucial role that they can play by being stable, loving, and when it comes to bringing children into the world, providing them with a stable, loving family environment. And then serving as a role model to others who are looking to venture into marriage as well.
I think it's really very important to take your time, to make sure that you are best friends, that you're able to communicate, that you have the same values, that you both have the same types of aspirations to have a marriage that will last, and that you are committed and devoted to each other, and that you're going to strive to make each other happy for the rest of your lives. I think that becomes really very important in a marriage.